least 6 people on the call. That makes me feel special. All right, once the clock hits 9 o'clock, which it just did, we're going to get started. So as always, everybody, welcome to the Branch ImPACT Zoom call. Today, we're going to be talking about the energy bus. So unlike previous calls where we've had guest speakers or we've had panelists, this is just a call that I'm going to be running really just to just focus on the core components of being the Chief Energy Officer in your branch office or your district office. Now, before I dive into the content of today's calls, there are some quick housekeeping items to cover. Number one is, of course, this upcoming Wednesday, as every Wednesday, we have the open office hours. Those are from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. As soon as this call is over, I will post the announcement for the open office hours. Just so you know, it is a different ID than the Branch ImPACT call. So if you've tried to log on, but you haven't had luck, it's probably because you're using the wrong ID. And if that ever happens to you, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or through Conveyor, or if you have my number, just shoot me a text and let me know that you're trying to get on, but you can't. I will help you out with that. The second thing is we have our next Branch ImPACT call next Tuesday, and that one will be a panel discussion. We're going to have a keynote speaker, Trent Booth. We'll be talking all about what it means to practice delayed gratification and self-care. And then we have 2 panelists, 2 former branch managers from last year, Christian Manchino from the Northeast and Weston Porter from the Southwest. We'll be talking about their experience kind of getting off to a slow start in May and how they really focused on the actions and got away from focusing on the results, which helped them, maintain some mental sanity as they headed into the biggest parts of the summer. So those are just some 2 quick reminders. Obviously, everything will be updated on the Branch ImPACT Facebook page, so make sure that you're keeping an eye out for all of those goodies right there. Now, the energy bus, the reason why I chose this particular book to cover with all of you is because it talks about 10 simple reminders to how you can get people tied into your overall goal. And the most important aspect of being a branch manager is really helping people see the bigger picture of vector marketing. Yes, of course, we want them to get to their first promo first weekend, but we want them to stay beyond that. And I know from speaking with so many of you that the reason why you're so passionate about this branch opportunity is because you want to give people the same experience you've been given. Chances are the experience you've been given has been a lot about the team, a lot about, the camaraderie and the friendships. And that has to do with the way that your manager set up the culture in your office that you started in. Now, as a branch manager, it can sometimes be a little bit hectic and crazy when you're just trying to figure these things out. You're just trying to get people launched. You're just trying to get people hired. And the culture aspect, the team aspect, that's kind of a second thought. And while right now it is true that your main focus should be on recruiting, the second focus is on your team and making sure that you really have them getting tied in right from the start, getting them excited about what's to come, and really painting the picture for them even when the picture isn't quite reality just yet. I remember when I first started as a sales rep, I started in the end of April. My very first team meeting was all district managers who were about to launch. And I remember my second team meeting was like 3 people. And my pilot sales manager at the time, because I started in a pilot office, my pilot sales manager, David Kirkner, he took me aside. And during that second team meeting where there was only 3 people, he said, "Shelby, I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but by July, there's going to be 60 people in this room. And what's so cool is that because you're here now when there's only 3 people, when there's 60 people, they're all going to know your name and they're going to look up to you as a leader. I'm going to have you running the meetings by that point." Now, he knew that those are kinds of things that would fire me up and that would get me excited. So he utilized that vision to keep me tied in and focused on getting through July. Because of course, I wanted to be able to be looked at as a leader by 60 people. Lo and behold, when July came by, we probably had our biggest team meeting, which was 45, 50 people. And I remember being there and giving the Vector Opportunity message. And, it was such a big team meeting that we couldn't even run the meeting inside. We had to run it in the parking lot. And David did such a good job of conveying that vision to me. And that's really what helped me, focus on doing a lot of really great things within the company. And you all have that ability too. You don't need to have a big team to have a big vision. That's the first thing that I want to remind you. Now, before I dive into the 10 keys here, this is definitely a note-taking talk. So, if you have the ability to take notes, please do so. The second thing is utilize the chat feature. This has always been super successful. The chat feature is designed to help you stay focused and for you to point out nuggets when you hear them. So if I say something that you're like, wow, that's a great nugget, please write in the chat feature nugget just like I did right there. There's another thing that I said that was a quote that you loved and you feel like typing out the whole quote, that's great as well. Not only does this keep you focused, but it also keeps other people engaged. We have so many different things that are going on right now, where there's Facebook Jumpstart and there's PR calling and some of you have PDI. And so it's easy to get distracted when we have these calls. But when somebody else comments in the Zoom chat, it kind of gives you that little motivation to take a look of what's going on and then focus back in on the call. So please utilize the chat feature. All right, here we go. I hope you're all ready to take lots of notes. Like I said, this call is based off of The Energy Bus, which is a book by Jon Gordon. I will be giving a contest at the end of this call for you to actually win this book. But let's dive in. So like I said, it is 10 rules to really, or 10 keys to really getting your team engaged and getting your people fired up about what's to come and helping them see the vision that you see for yourself. The first rule here, number one rule, is that you are the driver of your bus. Say that again. You are the driver of your bus. So while the majority of these rules are going to focus around your team, getting your team fired up, getting your team focused in, you have to realize that it always starts with you. Chances are that many of you stuck around because of your manager. You felt like you were listened to, you felt like you were coached by, you felt like you were really supported by your manager. And that's because they did the work on themselves and they did the inner discovery in order to help get you to where you are. So remember, rule number one is that you are the driver of your own bus. So you get to decide what your team is going to look like. You get to decide what kind of team culture you're going to have, how big your team's going to be. You get to decide where you're going to recruit from. And you get to define what you want. So definition is really valuable whenever you're trying to put a plan together. So often I hear people talk about, I want to have a great culture. And I go, okay, great. What does that look like? And they don't have an answer for me. So you can say all of these blanket terms. I want to have a great culture. I want to have high standards. I want to have lots of energy. But if you haven't taken time to actually sit down, journal out what that looks like, then it's going to be really hard for you to actually create it. You think about it. If someone says, I want you to paint a picture, and they don't give you any direction, you could very well paint one picture and then that person was like, no, that's not what I wanted. So taking time to actually define what your team is going to look like, what you want to have, what you want to create is so valuable. What is your vision? So there's 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself. What is your vision for your life? Now that's a big question and just have fun with that. Then what is your vision for your work, for your team? So this is obviously much more short term. This is right now. You get to focus on that right now and define that right now. And then what is your vision for your relationships and for your family? Christina, we're going to get to questions and answers at the end. So thanks for putting that in there, but I'm going to answer that at the end of the call. So again, answer these questions. What's your vision for your life, for your work and for your team, for your relationship and your family? Number 2, the second rule here. Desire, vision, focus, move your bus in the right direction. So the underlying catalyst to making this whole thing work is you and your desire, vision, and focus for taking the right steps forward. Now, you've probably all heard about the law of attraction. What you focus on, you find. What you think about expands and grows. We all know this, right? But I want you to think right now about your office. Are you actually putting this into play in the positive sense? So not hypothetically, but theoretically, we know the law of attraction, right? We know that what we focus on, we find, and what we think about expands and grows. If things aren't going well right now in your office, I want you to be real with yourself. Are you focusing on all the things that are going wrong? Or are you finding the strength in yourself to focus on all the things that could be going right or will be going right? You know, again, we have been taught the law of attraction. It's easy to think about the law of attraction when everything's going right, but where the law of attraction really comes into play is when things aren't going right and we choose to focus on the good. We choose to focus on our vision. We choose to pull ourselves out of the weeds and say, all right, I know what I'm creating. It might not be here right now, but I know it's coming. And you focus on that vision statement that you just created for yourself. So if you have a crappy day, actually, this is a great example. I spoke with a branch manager last week, and he gave me this awesome line that I've been using with quite a few branch managers. So many of you have probably heard of Murphy's Law, where if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And he jumped on the call with me and he goes, yeah, I'm having a Murphy's Law week. And I was like, oh, tell me more about that. He's like, yeah, just things are going haywire. They're going crazy, but I'm focused on what's going to happen that's good. And so he recognized that things weren't going well, but he didn't allow himself to ruminate in that. He didn't allow himself to focus on all the things that were going wrong. He just said, I know it's just a phase. It's just a season. It's just a dip. It's not the way it's going to always be. And I'm going to focus forward and focus on what good is coming my way. I thought that was really awesome. Number 3. So we have number 1, you are the driver of your own bus. Number 2, desire, vision, focus, move your bus in the right direction. Number 3, fuel your ride with positive energy. All right, so here's a quick equation I want you all to write down. E plus P equals O. Events plus perception equal outcome. So events are what's true, right? That's what is happening. That is just black and white. Here's what happened. Here are the facts. And then perception is the feelings and the emotions and the what ifs and the thoughts that we attach to the events. And then the outcome is how we end up feeling and how we end up viewing the event. So example, I had an interview, 3 people were scheduled, nobody showed. The perception could be one of 2 ways. Nobody showed, all right, taking this time to recruit more. The perception could be, great, now I have more time to hit on Facebook Jumpstart even harder, Instagram even harder, I'll call more PRs. Or the perception could be, nobody showed, I suck at recruiting, this is crappy, I don't know if I should have been a branch. When you go to that area, then your outcome tends to be very negative and your production tends to lower. But when you focus on just the event itself and your perception being a positive perception, then your outcome tends to be much more productive. So when you can attach a positive perception to your events, that's going to increase your outcome from a production standpoint. When you allow yourself to attach a negative perception to your events, that's going to decrease your production because you lose confidence in yourself. And it's a lot harder to do good things when you're feeling really bad. So if you can allow yourself to go down the what if path of all the negatives, you know, like what if I never figure out this recruiting thing, or what if nobody ever shows for my interviews, or what if this, what if that, if you can allow your brain to go there, then you can allow your brain to go on the other side. What I mean by this is the idea of what ifs is just looking into the future. The future hasn't even happened yet. So if you can allow yourself to look into the future and be like, this is all going to go to crap, you can also allow yourself to look into the future and say, this is all going to work out. So rather than attaching a negative phrase to the what if, I challenge you to attach a positive phrase. And so rather saying, well, what if I fail? Say, how cool will it be when I succeed? And just change the lingo, change the language. I actually want to go grab my book. It's in my bookshelf, and I want to read a page to you because it's a really valuable page. So give me 1 second. So on page 49 in the book, there is a quick little story that I want to read to you. And it kind of helps exemplify this point that I'm making right here. A man goes to the village to visit the wise man, and he says to the wise man, I feel like there are 2 dogs inside of me. One dog is this positive, loving, kind, and gentle dog. And then I have this angry, mean-spirited, and negative dog, and they fight all the time. I don't know which one is going to win. The wise man thinks for a moment, and he says, I know which is going to win, the one you feed the most. So feed the positive dog. So that is such a good point that he makes here, because he acknowledges the fact that we all have this inner struggle within us. We all have this ability to go down that dark road, but we also have the ability to go down that really light and exciting road. And it's just a matter of what you fuel. It's a matter of what you focus on. So again, going back to that very first rule where you are the driver of your own bus, what you focus on expands. And again, you know this in theory. You know, if I were to talk to you in March, you probably would have been like, yeah, of course I'm going to focus on all of the positives because you know that's the right answer. But are you actually doing that right now? That is what you need to figure out. All right, moving on to rule number 4. Here's where it gets good. Here's where we talk about your team. Invite people on your bus and share your vision for the road ahead. So I think Christina asked the question of when do we share this vision? Always and often. You know, there are points in your training where it's time for you to share your vision. And if you don't know where those points are, jump on my office hours on Wednesday and we can figure out where you should be inserting your vision. During your team meeting, going over your vision. Your vision for the summer should already be figured out, and if it's not, go to work on it. If you look through the Branch ImPACT page, you can actually search in the search bar Rihanna Raymond. Rihanna and I did a role play of her What I'm Building talk, which is essentially her vision talk. You can see it there. It's 20 minutes long. She does it at every single team meeting. She does not falter. So when it comes to rule number 4, invite people on your bus and share your vision for the road ahead. It's something so simple, but people often forget it. You know, you're so focused on getting them to finish out their fast start that you forget to talk about what the team is building. People like to be part of something. People like to feel like they're moving towards a group goal. You know, I think about Gina Nappy, the Silver Cup winner from the Northeast region this past year. When she was on stage with that Silver Cup, her entire team was behind her, and they were equally as excited and proud to be part of that. And that's because she did such a good job of tying her people into the overall goal. You know, if you were to walk into her office in June, you would have seen a giant thermometer with a team goal of 200K, and underneath the team goal would have said Walter. And Walter is her bulldog that she shared with her team that her goal is to buy this bulldog, and that when the team hit 200K, she was going to buy this dog. Now that's her own personal vision, but that was something that fired up the team because the team had bought into her. And they're like, yeah, let's do it for Walter. Let's do it for Walter. And when they hit 200K, she went out and she bought Walter. And now it's like her team mascot. He comes everywhere with her. If you're in the Northeast region, you know Walter. Now, another thing that I'm really big on, and if you've coached together or if you've seen me speak, you've probably heard me talk about the power of influence and how so much influence in your business comes from one-on-one conversations. So when it comes to sharing the team vision, yes, you do it during your training. Yes, you do it during your team meeting. If you run key staff program, you do it during your key staff meetings. You do it always and often. But if there is somebody on your team who you're like, I know I want to build my team around that person. The way that David, my pilot manager, did to me my first summer, he knew he wanted to build this around me. He knew that he wanted me to be around in July when the team was 60 people deep. So he pulled me aside and said to me separately, I'm inviting you to be a huge part of this, Shelby. I want to see you be a leader on this team. I know it's not what it is right now, but I promise you, just trust me, it's going to be so much bigger and you're going to be such a big part of it. So I am inviting you to join me in creating this vision. Here's the reality. You know, the people you're working with, these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they might have been part of a team. Maybe they've won a national championship. Then they know the feeling of what it's like to be part of something big. But a lot of them might have never really been part of something like this. Or they've been part of it, but they've kind of taken the back seat. But if you see something in them, pull them aside and say, I'm inviting you to do this with me. I see so much potential in you and I want to build this around you because you are that special. And again, when you do that on a one-on-one basis and you pour love into them and you show them that you truly want to build this around them, they will buy into you like that because they see you seeing something in them. And that's really powerful. I'm sure many of you remember the time when your manager did that for you and what that made you feel like. Now, here's something interesting. You can actually create physical tickets. And this would be something fun for like a push period alliance. So I know SC1's still a couple of weeks away, but as you build your team and as you begin to think about, okay, who on my team could definitely do 5K for the SC1 push, you could do 10K. You know, if you're shooting for 20K, who could do 20K? And create physical tickets. Pull them aside one-on-one and be like, this is a little bit corny, but I've created a ticket for you because I want to invite you on the bus for the SC2 Alliance or for the SC1 Alliance. Because I see you being able to be up on stage and win a trophy. And I want our entire team to be around you, chanting your name when you're on stage winning that trophy. So this is your ticket to get on the bus. Do you accept? And that physical handoff of the ticket is like the handoff of a baton. It's like all of a sudden you're like, I am trusting in you to lead this team alongside of me. So consider that. Here's another quote from the book. This is on page 62. This is actually a quote by Abraham Lincoln. And the quote says, where is it? Bear with me. The quote says, I am not bound to win. I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to the light that I have. So I'm going to read this one more time. I am not bound to win. I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed. I am bound to live up to the light that I have. So what he is saying, he's not focusing on the results. And forgive me if I've given you any idea that this is all about the results. This is about you pouring into your people and bringing them in this positive light that you know is so true in vector marketing. So many of you, when you talk to me in February and March and April, and when I asked you, why are you going branch? Nearly every person said, because I want to give someone the experience that I have been given. And you know that experience to be true. You know what a light it's been brought to your life. So part of sharing the vision is just sharing that light with people. It's not always about the results. The results are an after effect. what comes first is building that culture, building that team from a recruiting standpoint, but also from what I'm talking about today with this right now. All right, so always be sharing your vision. Rule number 5, now this is a really big one. So I want you to like star this and underline this, and you have to highlight it. Rule number 5, don't waste your energy on those who don't get on your bus. Say this again. Don't waste your energy on those who don't get on your bus. Are there going to be people this summer who decide Cutco is not for them? Yes. Are there going to be people this summer who might be kind of jerks to you online? Yes. Are there going to be people this summer who randomly quit out of the blue? Yes. Don't take it personally. You know the truth. You know what Vector can do for you. You know what Vector has done for you. So if someone doesn't want to do Vector, it's not about you, it's about them. So don't take it personally. Do we have methods in place to save someone who we see a lot of potential in? Yes. Should you employ those methods? Yes. But should you employ them 3, 4, 5 times to the same person? No. Here's the reality. The right person will show up. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I was a 1-person interview. I was the first person hired of their summer season. I was a 2-person training, and the second person quit on day 3. The person who trained me was a brand new DM who had never done PDI in his life, ended up quitting in July. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So don't focus on saying all the right things to the wrong person. Focus on finding the right people and building around them. Again, going back to rule number 3, fuel your ride with positive energy. Those what ifs, those focusing on the outcomes. You know, remember that for every person you're trying to save, there are other people waiting for your phone call. For every person you are trying to save, there are other people waiting for your phone call. Oftentimes I see branch managers attach so much hope and promise to an individual. You know, they hire someone, they're like, they're gonna be a 10K fast starter, they're gonna give me 500 PRs, they're gonna drive my team forward. And then that person doesn't show up for training, and that branch manager is crushed. And they run their entire training with the thought in the back of their head, why did that one person not show up? And when that thought in the back of your head is all about that one person who's not there, then you're forgetting about the people who are there. There are people in front of you who want your training, who want this experience, who want this opportunity. They may not be the person you thought was going to show up, but they're there. So focus on the people that are on your bus. For every person you're trying to save, there are people waiting for your phone call and praying for your phone call. One of my favorite phrases is, so what? Who cares? Who's next? If you have someone who's a jerk to you online, so what? Who cares? Who's next? I still get people who are jerks to me online. I had a person recently reach out to me. He reached out to me last year, and he sent me a message on Facebook. He said, I can't believe a smart, young, intelligent University of Delaware grad would waste her time working for such a scam of a company. He sent me that on my personal Facebook. Then he went to find my review that I left on Vector Marketing's corporate page and commented this whole long thing about what a scam Vector Marketing is and what a slimy person I must be. And I responded to him with the polite response that you get in the you know, how to handle this folder. And it was all done. And then he resurfaced this past weekend. He had deleted his comments from last year, and he re-commented again this year. And I went back and forth with him a few times, and he ended up backing down by the 3rd time, because I said, listen, I know you reached out to me last year on my personal page and you commented on this exact post last year. I'm going to tell you the exact same thing I told you last year. You had a bad experience. I'm sorry to hear that. We can make it right. If you're owed money by our company, we can make it right. But I'm damn proud of the person I am today because of vector marketing. And I'm not going to apologize for doing what I did here because I still work here. I still love this. And I will gladly and proudly share what I've done with everybody that comes in my path. And you shut up. So remember, don't waste your energy on those who don't get on your bus because there are people who are waiting to be given that ticket. So page 71 in the book has a great point on this. Just to reiterate, the more energy you spend worrying about the people who didn't get on your bus, the less you will have for the people who are on your bus. And if you are worrying about the people who didn't get on your bus, you won't have the energy to keep on asking new people to get on. So what? Who cares? Who's next? Release the attachment of the outcome. Remember, events plus perception equals outcome. Be glad that someone who's willing to be a jerk to a stranger isn't in your office. Number 6, post a sign that says, no energy vampires allowed on your bus. So this book talks a lot about energy vampires. And they are people, you probably know somebody in your life who's an energy vampire. They are people who sit there like this, and it seems like every single breath that they take is taking positive energy out of the field, out of the air. So I encourage you to make a sign in your office that says, no energy vampires. And what this will allow you to do is if somebody asks you, what's an energy vampire? You then have the open door to share with them what your philosophy is on positive energy within the office, but it also gives you an open door to share what your vision is for the office. You know, hey, I'm so glad you asked. It's actually kind of a funny phrase, but it comes from, you know, this idea that in my office, we're all about positivity. We're all about supporting one another. You know, if there's ever anything going wrong in our life, we come with an open mind, an open arm, and we talk about it. And we are willing to focus forward and not focus on what's gone on in our past. We're willing to focus on the positives and not the negatives. So having that sign in your office, yes, it's a little bit silly, but it does create that boundary of, hey, we're going to be the positive people here. We're not going to be the negative people here. And it just opens up that door for conversation, and it holds your team accountable to the culture and vision that you are working so hard to create. Another quote from the book is on page 74, and this one talks about how you have to be strong enough to tell people that you will not allow any negativity on your bus. You've got to say that this is where we are going, and to get there, we need a positive and supportive team, and whoever is negative will be kicked off the bus or left at the station. You spent way too much time training and dreaming and prepping and planning for this experience to have somebody suck the energy out of you. You are the driver of your bus. You are the one who gets to decide who's on the bus and who's not on the bus. You have that ability to sit someone down who is smack talking or who is, you know, not doing what they said they were going to do, and hold them accountable to the standards that you have in your office, which you have defined from rule number 2, where you created your desire, vision, focus to move your bus in the right direction. You have the ability to hold people accountable. You have to have the strength to do so. Number 7, rule number 7, enthusiasm attracts more passengers and energizes them during the ride. Again, this is another one of those things that we know in theory, just like the law of attraction, we know in theory. But are we actually applying it to our office? Are we letting the crappy things that happen inevitably within a day? You know, there are 12 hours in a day. The chance of every single minute of every single hour being rainbows and butterflies is very slim. Are we ruminating on that 1 minute where someone was a jerk to us and letting that affect the rest of our day? Or are we saying, so what, who cares, who's next? I'm going to be enthusiastic and show up to the people that are in front of me. Again, like I mentioned before, if you're so focused on the one person who didn't show up that you can't be enthusiastic for the people that are there, then you're not doing your job. Leading with positive, contagious leadership will create other leaders within your organization. Enthusiasm is powerful energy. You are all the CEOs of your office, chief energy officers of your office. There's a great quote on page 77 that I want to read to all of you. Your positive energy and vision must be greater than anyone's and everyone's negativity. Your certainty must be greater than everyone's doubt. I've talked about this before from the stage, how oftentimes your confidence and enthusiasm has to be so strong because the people on your team will need to borrow it from you until they can develop their own. People walk into your office trusting you and trusting what you're going to provide to them, but they might be nervous. They might be unsure. They might be a little bit less confident in themselves. But if you can stand there in strength, in power, and enthusiasm, and just show up and say, this is where we're going. This is how I'm going to lead you. This is what you're capable of doing. That's going to allow people to get fired up about what is possible for them. In turn, creating what is possible for your team. We convince by our presence. The quote by Walt Whitman. We convince by our presence. I think it was last Thursday, I did a quick Facebook Live from Houston, Texas, where I talked all about just, the power that comes from being confident. And being confident starts with speaking confidently. If someone is challenging vector marketing, you don't apologize for being part of it. Again, you know the truth. You know what it's done for you. You are freaking 19, 20, 21 years old, and you are running a business for a summer. Even if you sell $10,000 this summer, you are getting better experience than almost every one of your peers. You are getting equal, if not better experience than anyone in an MBA program. You are growing like no one has ever grown before if you're not within Vector. There's a reason why we say a 21-year-old Vector person is not a normal 21-year-old. There's a reason why our conferences, we stay up late until 12, 1 a.m. talking about our futures and our lives and our hopes and dreams and our financial situations and our relationships. There's just a special thing that goes on here, and we know it because we've been through it, we've experienced it, and we get to give it to people. So if someone's challenging you, stay in your presence of confidence because you know what is true. We convince by our presence. Just remember that. We convince by our presence. All right, number 8. This was one of my favorite, and this is one that I practice, or at least I think I practice every day. Love your passengers. Again, I'm going to say this one more time. Love your passengers. So as you are working so hard to build this community and this team and this vision, don't forget that you have individual people that make it all possible. And so when you're focused so much on the team goal, it's really hard to forget that it comes down to the individual efforts of your team. The individual. So when you can love on your people, good things happen. When you bring out the best in others, you can't help but bring out the best in yourself. When you bring out the best in others, you can't help but bring out the best in yourself. I'm going to read another quote from this book on page 100 here. This is an interesting scientific study or scientific finding. So according to heartmath.org, they published a scientific journal all about just the power of the heart. The heart acts as an emotional conductor and radiates how you are feeling to every cell in the body via the heart's electromagnetic field. This energy field can be detected up to 5 to 10 feet away. The heart's electromagnetic field is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. So when you can lead with your heart, that's why we talk about leading with your heart. People can tell. I think about someone like Brian Hurlman. For those in the Eastern region, does that guy lead with heart or what? Like, you can just tell that he is someone who leads with his heart. Brett Wiggins, if you're from the Midwest region, like, you just can tell that that person leads with their heart. Gina Nappy in the Northeast region, she leads with her heart. When you can love on your people and you can just seriously show them that you are caring about them and you see their heart and they see yours, magic happens. It also, by the way, it helps people see that you are there for them. I think in today's time, young people have the best BS meters on the planet. We can tell when someone has an alternative agenda. We can tell when someone's trying to switch around a conversation to really get us to do what they want. We can tell when we're being manipulated. But when someone is leading with their heart and they're just showing up authentically and telling their people what they know to be true and what they see in them, and here's how you get there, your people will know that you have their backs and you have their hearts. In addition to that, I want to read another quote here on page 122. There are 5 ways to love on your passengers. Number 1, make time for them. Again, I've talked about this before, and you've heard this from me on the stage. The power of influence comes down to those one-on-one conversations. Making time for your people is so valuable in today's time. If you can take this and put it off to the side, turn it over, turn it off, put it on silent, and not be distracted by it, and give someone 30 minutes of undivided attention, I'm willing to guarantee that that is the most amount of positive attention that they have gotten that is undivided in probably the last 5 years. How many times are you at dinner with your friends and they're checking their phones? I do it all the time, and I have to apologize for it because I get so distracted by this thing. But if you can give your people undivided attention, magic will happen. Number 2, listen to them. Truly listen to them. Listen to, if they're struggling, give them 5 minutes to vent. And don't be listening to respond. Listen to understand. Empathy is such a core value of leadership, and the ability to be able to listen without the need to respond right away is so important, and you will carry that with you into all of your future endeavors. So we talk about branch being a building block for becoming a leader. Again, results aside, the ability to listen and empathize with someone will make you such a valuable candidate in the job world. And if you can let somebody speak for 5 minutes and then just sit there like, made a lot of interesting points. Give me a second to think about that. All right, so can I give you an honest thought on this? And then asking them for permission to share your thoughts breaks down that wall. They know that you've taken the time to listen and absorb and to hear them. And these days, not many people are heard. The third way to love on your people is recognize them. Recognition and acknowledgement is sometimes all someone wants. And I don't mean recognition from an award standpoint. Yeah, that's great. But recognizing them for a job well done is also really valuable, if not more invaluable. Acknowledging them for putting their best foot forward or stepping out of their comfort zone. Yes, people want money and experience, but again, in today's time, they might not be recognized. They might not be acknowledged. A fourth way to love on your passengers, serve them. So oftentimes I hear branch managers come to me and they say, how do I hold people accountable, or how do I lead a team? And it oftentimes comes down to the fact that they're afraid to hold people accountable. They're afraid of not being liked by their team. And women especially struggle with this. They're afraid of not being liked. People will like you if you serve them. Serving them comes from a place of helping them succeed, helping them reach their goals. So it is your duty as a branch manager to serve them. And sometimes serving comes in the form of tough love. again, that question, can I be honest with you, is such a valuable question because it opens the door for that tough love conversation. And this is again, women especially, we have this fear of being disliked. You will be disliked if you can't help your people. But if you can help your people from a place of service, you will be loved. And then number 5, bring out the best in them. And that kind of ties in with serving them. So much of serving them is bringing out the best in them. And again, that comes from tough love. When you see so much potential in someone, but you're afraid of saying something that's too harsh because you're afraid that they're going to push them away. Again, remember, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. If they're the right person for the job, they will take what you're saying and they will apply it to their life and to their work. So don't be afraid of coming down a little bit hard on them. There's a way to do it that makes you not be a jerk, but don't be afraid of having that honest conversation and holding them accountable. I am so grateful for all of the conversations that David Kirkner had with me throughout my first summer, where he pushed me to get to that $63,000 sales summer and $67,000 first year in the business, or first 4 months in the business. There were days where I was like, oh my God, David's so annoying, stop calling me. But I didn't think about those days when I finished out that summer. I thought about all the days where he congratulated me, he acknowledged me, he recognized me, he supported me, he listened to the event. The small, minute times where I was like, oh my God, leave me alone, were completely outweighed by all of the times where he was like, I believe in you, you can do this. And that $30,000 first year earnings made everything worth it for me. So again, even if you're getting people to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, they're going to thank you for the times you poured love into them, whether it's tough love or appreciation love. Just remember that your goal is to help them be successful here, and that's going to come from serving them and bringing out the best in them, which sometimes requires difficult conversations. All right, number 9, drive with purpose. So once again, drive with purpose. So purpose is not results driven. Purpose is the bigger picture. It is the feeling you're trying to achieve, the environment you're trying to create, the dreams you're trying to build within other people. It is not the CPO. That is not your purpose here. Your purpose is not to win the silver cup. Your purpose is to change a lot of lives in the process, which might help you win the silver cup. All of you guys got this coin, 50 lives impacted. If you're having trouble figuring out what your purpose is, focus on this right here. 50 lives impacted. Do you realize how incredible that can be as an 18, 19, 20-year-old? To be able to say, this summer, I impacted 50 people. None of your peers outside of Vector can really say that, but you can. Now, your purpose, by the way, guys, doesn't have to be this huge, heart-stopping thing. Just find a bigger purpose in the here and now. So just focus on the here and now. What is the bigger purpose of today? Well, the bigger purpose of today can be to move through today with the confidence in knowing that what you are offering to every person that walks through your door is an opportunity to take them from where they are to where they could be. It's an opportunity to show them a whole new way of living life, a whole new outlook of life, a whole new community, a whole new opportunity, a whole new set of experiences. Maybe that's your bigger purpose for today. It doesn't have to be results driven. It shouldn't be results driven because you will drive yourself nuts if it's results driven. Your purpose helps you get out of the weeds. It helps you focus on the positives. It helps you focus on how you're showing up every day and how you're serving your people. And then number 10, the final law, rule, key point, whatever you want to call them. Have fun and enjoy the ride. I know that branch can be stressful. I know that oftentimes you feel lonely. You're in your office, nobody else is there. You're like, when is this going to be figured out? When am I going to figure out? And it's easy to not let yourself have fun. But I encourage you to find 5 things each day that will make you smile. If there is a local park that has a pond, I suggest going there and walking around it every once in a while throughout the day or throughout the week, because right now there are a bunch of baby ducks walking around because it's birthing season for animals. So you want to find a lot of baby ducks and baby squirrels and baby chipmunks, and they make you smile, go find them. I do that often because I think baby animals are adorable. But if there's other things that you like to do that make you smile, talking to your mom or dad or your significant other or your best friend, make time for that. If watching funny YouTube videos makes you smile, then set a timer on your phone and every 3 hours put on a funny YouTube video. Don't get sucked in, but again, do things to make you smile. It's not that serious, guys. At the end of the day, no matter what your results are with Branch, it is not a live or die situation. It's not that serious. You're going to come out on the other end. You're going to be a better person. Your results might not be where you want them to be, or they might be way above what you thought were even possible. But I promise you, in 10 years from now, you're not going to look back on your Branch summer and be like, I'm really proud of the $45,000 I did, or I'm really disappointed in the $45,000 I did, and I'm really proud of the $200,000 that I did. You're going to look back at your summer and think about the people that you impacted, the 50 lives that you impacted, or the 10 lives that you impacted. Or listen, if you take one person from $0 to $5,000 in sales, that might be the biggest life-changing experience for that one person. And to have one person be able to look at you and say, she changed my life, or he changed my life. Again, that's something that not a lot of people can say. So remember, have fun and enjoy the ride. It's not that serious. It's not a live or die situation. And nobody is going to like you any less if you don't hit your goals. I'm going to say that one more time because oftentimes I find that branch managers are so wrapped up in their self-worth being their CPO, that the minute they don't have a good sales week, they think that they are a crappy person and they get down on themselves and their character. Sure, you can point at a crappy sales week and look at yourself and say, did I actually put my best foot forward this week? But a crappy sales week does not mean that you are a bad person, or that you are a dumb person, or that you aren't successful or will never be successful. I know plenty of people that ran subpar branch offices, but now own multiple franchises, but now run multi-million-dollar real estate teams, or finishing up med school, or are amazing CSPs. You know, your success as a branch manager is more tied into how you operate every day than what the results you have at the end of the day are. All right? So that being said, that is the 10 rules of life, or the 10 rules to fuel your life, work, and team with positive energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually offer a little contest here, just like I did with the 1 Minute Manager. I am asking for all of you to share some of your main takeaways on the Branch ImPACT page. One of the reasons why I ask people to do this is because it encourages others to watch the recording. And I know with a crazy time of the year that it is, people tend to neglect growth. But what we know about being a successful branch manager is it's about focusing on the growth. So when you share what you took away from this call, more people will end up watching the call. I will choose one person who shared their takeaways, and I will send them the Energy Bus book tomorrow. So that being said, I want to open it up, last 5 minutes here for any questions or comments. I'm going to unmute the line, so just speak up, all right? So the lines are on. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
What was rule number 3 again?
Rule number 3 is fuel your ride with positive energy. That's when we talked about the events plus perception equals outcome.
One more time.
Fuel your ride with positive energy.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions here?
I actually missed rule number 10. Can you repeat rule number 10 for me, Shelby?
Yep, rule number 10 is have fun and enjoy the ride.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Connor Lugo Harris, unfortunately, you're not part of the Branch Impact page, so you won't be able to participate in the drawing, but I'm glad that you're on the call.
Thank you.
Great. Christina, but should we be sharing these goals, mission statements in the interview, like the opening section? To an extent, yes. With the interview, you're still kind of keeping everything somewhat like vague in the sense that you want to build, you want to put all of your cards on the table. So when you introduce yourself in the interview, you can say, hi, my name is Christina Poliandro. I am the branch manager of Insert Territory here. So excited to be building a team this summer, and I'm looking for people who are hardworking and positive and committed to build a team this summer. We've got really, really big goals. I'm going to share them with you right now before I dive into the portion of the interview that gives you all the information about the job. So some of our goals this summer, we're looking to be the #1 branch office in the blank of the Northeast region. And to do that, we need hardworking and committed people. So I'm really looking for people who, can take something and run with it. They're self-starters, they're innovative, they're workers, they ask questions, they love to learn. That's the kind of people that I'm looking for. So if that's you, then you have a really good shot of getting this position. Now, if that's not you, but you want to learn how to be that kind of person, that's another area that we can absolutely work on together. So I'm not just looking for the cookie-cutter version of, the hardworking individual. I'm looking for people who are rough around the edges but are willing to grow. So again, no matter who you are, if you're willing to grow, you're open-minded, I know that I can work with you, those kinds of things. So again, you don't have to go into a really long length. You can share like 5 minutes in the beginning about your goals and who you're looking for and what you're building. And just, again, that confidence is really important too. Any other questions? Any nuggets that you heard that you really liked?
I have a question.
Sure.
Whose talk did you say to watch about their vision?
Rihanna Raymond. So if you search on the Branch Impact page, just search Rihanna Raymond, that should come up.
Okay.
How might I take a look at that?
Might need to somehow get onto a branch's Facebook page and watch it.
Great, I can do that.
Okay, cool.
I got a takeaway, Shelby. I feel like my biggest takeaway was your what was it? Your events plus perception equals the outcome. Because like lately, I felt like everything was just not going the way I wanted to and everything. And I've just been trying to stay positive about everything because I still don't even have lights on in my office. And that was like my biggest concern. And I literally just got chairs for interviews yesterday. And I wanted to run interviews sooner than what I'm doing now. But my biggest takeaway was just to maintain positivity, even though everything around you isn't going the way that you want to. So I think that was like my biggest thing.
Good. And it's important to realize that it's not just about maintaining positivity, because people can say that and you're like, well, what does that really mean? Like, do I just like stay positive? Like, how can I stay positive when things aren't working out in my favor? So, it is acknowledging the event, right? The event is I don't have lights right now. The event is I don't have chairs now, or I just got chairs. But the perception is really where you can bring that positive light into your life. So the perception could be, I'm really far behind. There's no way I'm going to hit my goals this summer. Or the perception can be, all right, I'm getting lights tomorrow, and this is going to be a really great story to tell from stage by the end of the summer when I crush my goals. Or the perception could be, thank God I got my chairs in my office. Now it's go time with recruiting, right? So it's not just about the positiveness or the positivity. It's about like the perception that you're adding to the event itself.
Right, because I keep telling myself like, hey, this is gonna be a really fun story. Like at the end of the summer when the launch is all over.
Yeah,
I'm not stressed about it.
Yeah. By the way, Brando, my first branch summer, I didn't run my first training until May. My first interview wasn't until May 15th. There was no Facebook Jumpstart. I only could rely on mailers and active advertising and Craigslist. But I did no active advertising because I was 3.5 hours away from my territory, and my school didn't end until May 31st. So I had to literally take all my finals 3 weeks early in order to get up to Long Island where I ran my first office, and we still did $83,000. So it might be you're behind, but you're not. Cool.
Appreciate that.
It is 10 a.m., so I want to respect everyone's time. I'm going to give one more person a chance to speak up or ask a question.
One of my biggest takeaways was you phrased it as like a bad week doesn't make you a bad person, or going in the sense of like this summer is not like a life-threatening situation. Like you're still going to be liked even regardless of how the outcome was. And I know that really stuck to me because I know, at least going ahead, I was really focusing on like trying to make the most of the summer and trying to like hit all these high goals and all that, but like kind of just realizing that like you're not a bad person. Like it doesn't all happen, but like still striving for it though.
Yeah, I mean, here's the beautiful thing. Like you're all great people for doing this. Like there's, if anyone is feeling like they're a bad person because they're getting bad results, like please utilize my office hours so we can talk about that. Because like at the end of the day, I mean, I'm 25 years old. I get a chance to talk to a lot of people who are in professional careers or do all these different things. I talk to a lot of people that have either never heard of vector marketing or have heard of vector marketing and had a previous perception of it. And when I sit down with them and I tell them what I do, and the fact that vector marketing, after a summer of learning how to sell knives, actually gives 19, 20, 21-year-olds their own territory, $6,000 to $10,000, and then trust them to run their own office for a summer. I get to coach those people. They're like, what? They do that? Wait, what? What? Oh my God, I went in for that interview and I walked right out. Like, how dumb am I? Like, can my little sister do that? She's 18 years old. And I'm like, sure, get a PR, you know? So it's like, you are doing so much good for yourself and you are becoming such a better person. Like all the things I do to this day have stemmed from the opportunity I had with vector marketing. I would not be who I am today if it was not for vector marketing. So realize that regardless of the results, like you are making yourself such a better person for going through this. So that being said, I have another coach call I've got to jump on to. But again, contest says please post your takeaways or nuggets or whatever it might be onto the Branch ImPACT page. I will choose one person to send the energy bus to tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Shelby.